All this talk about being SEC ready. Have we ignored the Red River rivalry? What's up, everybody? This is the Sooners on SI weekend preview. I'm John Hoover. That's Ryan Chapman. Ryan, it's Oklahoma. It's Texas. It's Dallas. It's the State Fair of Texas. It's the Red River rivalry, man. It's the number one ranked Longhorns and the number 18 ranked Sooners. We'll be there, of course, as always. Alongside this year, our man Bryce McKinnis, boots on the ground at the Cotton Bowl. You know us. Here's the deal. Oklahoma is a 15-point underdog on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. kickoff, probably closer to 2:45. ABC's got the telecast. Kirk Herbstreit's flying in from Eugene, Oregon, and at the last second, it's going to be an epic production, but we'll see. It's only the third time in the last 30 years that OU's been a double-digit dog to Texas. But the Sooners have won 7 of the last 10 meetings and 17 of the last 25. OU has dominated this thing in recent years. Ryan, OU this year has been kind of tested, I guess you could say, in a handful of close games, including a home loss to Tennessee and a road win at Auburn. I'd say those are really good tests. Texas has not really been tested, as they've kind of just stomped everyone on a mostly weak schedule, if you think about it, including a surprisingly easy win at Michigan, who you might remember was the national champion last year, right? So let's start right there. I'll ask you this. Is Oklahoma being maybe a little more battle tested in this game? Is that going to allow OU to win a close game at the end? Or, think about the last, 4 of the last 5 years, I think they had to win the game at the end. Can they do that again because they've been pushed? Or does Texas, with what we're going to call a superior roster, a superior talent across the board, does Texas ensure that this game is not actually close, Ryan?
Yeah, that's the big trick, right? I know it feels like years ago, but let's go in the way back machine. Oklahoma, Tennessee, big week, the Sooners SEC opener, and that was the same thing, right? Oklahoma had struggled with Houston, had tightened that game, or Tulane had tightened that game up, and you're going, okay, Tennessee had run roughshod over everybody. Here's the deal. It didn't matter. Why? Because the game was never close. I know that it got close at the end, but no one thought that Oklahoma was going to win that game. Michael Hawkins Jr. didn't have that pressure. So that's what the onus is going to be on Oklahoma. If it gets to a one-score game in the fourth quarter, of course that's going to be big, huge experience for Oklahoma. The galvanizing win inside Jordan-Hare Stadium, Sooner Magic greater than voodoo, all that stuff. Oklahoma's got to get there first. So that's going to be the big if in this game, boss. Can the Sooners keep it close? If they can keep it close, of course they're going to have a huge chance, especially with what we've seen out of Michael Hawkins Jr. versus what we've seen out of Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers in close games, he doesn't win them. That's simple as that. He had 3 turnovers in this game a year ago, despite completing over 75% of his passes, all that stuff. Mike Hawkins on the other side, cool as you like, cool as a cucumber. This atmosphere way more hectic, but the real question's not who is that an advantage for Oklahoma. It's can the Sooners do enough offensively to be hanging around in the fourth quarter?
And if I remember right, Quinn Ewers had a turnover in that 49-0 game. He had just a terrible decision, a terrible throw, was picked off. CJ Colden, I think, came down with the interception out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, you're right. He has been known to give the football away when things get a little tight. And that one wasn't tight. And he still gave it away. So that might be Oklahoma's best chance. Let me ask you this. Do you see anywhere in the positional matchups where Oklahoma definitely has an advantage? I'll just say no. I don't think I see anywhere. I think OU's run defense against Texas's run offense could be a little bit of a push, maybe a slight edge to OU here, but then also maybe not a slight edge. I think on special teams, if you think about it, just in general, special teams, the Sooners might have an advantage. Luke Elzinga can be a guy that impacts the field position. Maybe Tyler Keltner can come back from his appendectomy, make some high pressure field goals. We'll see. Maybe Peyton Bowen has a big punt return. We'll see. But Ryan, that's kind of it, is the run defense and special teams overall, unless Texas just does something spectacularly stupid on defense, like not accounting for Michael Hawkins' ability to run, or does something spectacularly stupid on offense, like not test the OU secondary with the deep ball that we've talked about all week. Dude, I don't see a path for Oklahoma winning this thing. What about you?
Yeah, I do think, though, the run defense is huge because they're it's so funny, right? We talk about this. We talked about it on the Sooners on the Side pod earlier this week. We break this thing down every single way, and then we get to the Cotton Bowl. No one knows what really happens, but there's still some stuff that matters a whole lot. Usually, the team that wins the turnover battle wins this contest. Almost always, especially since the turn of the century, the team that runs for more yards wins this football game, and that's going to be the big question. Texas, the one area they are weakness, whatever you want to call it, banged up, is it running back? That all happened in fall camp. Jaden Blue, who's supposed to be the guy, he's the most talented guy, cannot hold on to the football. Fumble issues were a big thing. Last time I checked, there is one team that checks notes will be wearing crimson and cream on Saturday that leads the nation in not only turnovers gained, but fumbles recovered. Mm-hmm. That could be a huge thing. And I do think Oklahoma has an advantage in the punting game. And I think that as crazy as it sounds, that can't be undersold, though, boss. Oklahoma's offense, they're not going to score on every drive, but they need to pick up a first down or two on every drive, give Luke Elzinga enough room to flip the field, and give that OU defense a chance, because Texas leads the country. They got 45 explosive passing plays, 15 yards or more. They're going to hit those. If they're starting on their own 20, they can hit one or two of those and still have to settle for a field goal or go for a fourth down at midfield. If they're starting at the plus 40, that spells disaster, and that's where I think that is something that Oklahoma can exploit. You talk about hanging around, shorten the game, pin Texas deep, force some turnovers, something Oklahoma's very capable of doing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. To me, here's how OU wins. Texas turns the football over, which we know the Sooners, you just said it, they're really good at takeaways. They were number 2 in the country, don't forget, last year in interceptions, number 1 in the country in fumble recoveries this year. That's got to be rare, right? That's got to be crazy to be able to do that to opposing offenses. You're almost taking the football away at will. And if you can do that in the Texas game, all of a sudden those burnt orange collars start getting a little tight. Otherwise, this is just not really a good matchup for OU. If they don't get those turnovers, OU can't run the ball. It would be, let me just say, it would be a shocker if OU can run the ball. OU can't throw the deep ball. Again, it would be a shocker if OU does hit some deep balls. Brent Venable said we've been waiting dog years to hit a deep ball, and they hit one. That was their 140th pass of the season that they finally connected on a deep ball. So, haters going to hate, but OU can't run the ball and OU can't throw it deep. OU does fine stopping the run. Texas is not elite at running the ball. So OU, if they cannot give up the deep ball, the deep passes like they did against Tennessee, like they did against, I think Houston hit them for one. And if they cannot do it like they did against Auburn, then OU's got a chance. 45 plays, you pointed it out earlier in the week, 45 plays of 15 yards or more from this Texas passing game. That doesn't fit well with what Oklahoma does defensively. A little bit more bad news for OU. Although Deion Burks was listed Wednesday night as questionable on the SEC availability report, ESPN's Pete Thamel reported Thursday, that's today for us recording, it was around midday, I think, that his sources, unnamed, told him that Burks is not expected to play. So there's a little bit of give and take, a little bit of wishy-washy there, but it sounds like Burks is going to miss his second straight SEC game and his first OU Texas game, which sucks for him. And I think that sets the offense back, Ryan. You know what, though? They did it without him 2 weeks ago at Auburn. Can they do it with him? Can they do it without him again against Texas is the big question.
Can they? Probably not. I would say
Maybe.
It does not bode well for Oklahoma, but there still is plenty of speed abound on that offense. Brennan Thompson, he has the chance to play Red River Benedict Arnold if he could be a year or two later, kind of the Achilles heel for a Texas defense. You've got J.J. Hester. Can he be someone that spins that thing forward? And we were looking back earlier this week. It doesn't have to be a wire-to-wire absolute dominant performance for you to be an OU Texas hero. Jeff Badette in 2017, just 2 catches. One of those was a 54-yard touchdown. That's huge. If Bauer Sharp can be the guy he was against Auburn, suddenly that's a mismatch that Oklahoma can kind of try and exploit. He's a guy that would have been close to over 100 yards had there not been the OPI that wiped one of his big long catches off the board. So that's not to mention Ken Taylor Tatum, Gavin Sawchuk, those guys from the running back room get involved in the passing game. But it's going to have to be by committee. And again, I think that the common theme in all of this is the lower the score of this game, the better the recipe for Oklahoma to pull the upset. But we have seen absolutely bonkers things before in this game, which is why, though it looks unlikely, we talked about earlier, I don't think anyone in Norman's too worried about that 2 touchdown underdog point spread, because you can throw all that junk out the window come about 2:45 on Fair Park.
That's right. Sounds fun. Can't wait to get down there. Appreciate you, Ryan. Good stuff as always. Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com is where you're going to find all of our wall-to-wall coverage of OU football, not just this week, not just next week, but all season long. Ryan and I and Bryce, don't forget, will be in Dallas on Friday, actually. And Saturday, we'll have all your pregame coverage, all the latest breaking news, all the up-to-date injury reports. We're going to be on top of it. We're going to have our world-famous in-game live blog, post-game interviews with the players and coaches. I think we're going to get both coordinators this time. That should be fun. We'll have reaction on the field, on the Cotton Bowl Stadium. Hopefully we don't get interrupted by Texas fans like we did last year. That was fun. And, of course, we'll have the Sooners on SI podcast, certified fresh from the press box. Hopefully they don't close down the fair food before we're done, Ryan, because I get a feeling it's going to be late when we get out of there. And walking out of that stadium, walking out of that fair with a fried cheesecake in one hand and a lemonade in another, it's one of my favorite rewards about this job. It just is. 21 of these in a row, Ryan, I have covered. You say you've been to every one since 2004 for the most part. So that's also 21. That's when I started. Who else? What other staff is going to provide you guys with 42 years of OU Red River rivalry content like us? And all that content is free, by the way. All you got to do is keep it right here at Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com. For Ryan Chapman, I'm John Hoover. We'll see you guys.